Daniel Deronda by George Eliot. The plot starts in German, in an autumn in a wealthy social circle. Gwendolyn is a young girl who chose to spend her time gambling and during an unlucky day. She loses her money while being watched by an English gentleman named Deronda. During the same day, Gwendolyn receives a letter from her mother telling her that their family lost all their money and that she asks her daughter to return home as soon as he can. Regretting that she gambled all her money, Gwendolyn decides to pawn one of her necklaces and think about gambling once more, believing that she will be able to win and help her family. She decides not to gamble her money and return home after she receives a parcel with the necklace she found. The plot then goes back in time during the time Gwendolyn moved with her family in Ovington in an old house. A few biographical elements are given about Gwendolyn and her family, and the reader is allowed to know that Gwendolyn's father died when she was really young and that her mother remarried. Gwendolyn's stepfather rarely lived with them, and after his death, the family was forced to constantly move from one place to another. They settled in Providence, and Gwendolyn and her mother start talking about marriage. Well, Gwendolyn's mother says marriage is the only way a woman can be happy. Gwendolyn doesn't agree with her and thinks that she can be happy if she doesn't get married. That night, Gwendolyn meets Mr. and Mrs. Gascoigne and their daughter, Anna. Mr. George is a clergyman, and Gwendolyn thinks about the difference between Mrs. Gascoigne's marriage and her mother's marriage. Her cousin Anna, even if she is not as beautiful as Gwendolyn or as tall, she is beautiful. The Gascoigne family also have two sons, and one of them, Rex, was supposed to come home for Christmas. Gwendolyn asks her uncle from house, but Mr. Jones tells her that they can afford it. Miss Gasson promised her, however, to think about it, believing that in that way she will be able to have her next find a sensible husband. Mr. Johnson, however, fears that one of her sons will end up falling in love with Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn quickly becomes the main attraction in the little society she enters. She is invited often to parties at Quantum Hall. There, her piano skills are harshly criticized by Klezmer, and Gwendolyn dwells on the fact that she is seen by him as ordinary. Gwendolyn likes to act, but she is as talented as the things he is, and her mother tells her so when Gwendolyn tries to compare herself with a popular actress of her time. Relax comes and he falls in love with Gwendolyn, much to Mr. Middleton's horror, who liked to believe that he had a chance with Gwendolyn. Rex falls in love with Gwendolyn more and more each day, and Anna worries that Gwendolyn will never be able to properly love her brother. She tells Rex what the things. One day, Rex and Gwendolyn go together to ride after the house, but Rex is left alone by Gwendolyn. Rex falls off his horse and discovers her shoulder and returns home but continues to worry about Gwendolyn. Rex's father plans to send Rex away after he finds that Beconfess is failing to Gwendolyn and asks her to marry him. Mr. Gascoigne goes to look after Gwendolyn, and he is saddened to see that she makes fun of his son's accident, and that she talks negatively about marriage. The next day, they return home, and Mr. Khan suggests to send him away. Rex confesses his feelings to Connell, but he rejects him. Rex falls into depression, and Anna resents Gwendolyn for it. Rex tells his sister that he plans to move to Canada, and Anna tries to convince him to take her too. They both talk with their father, but he refuses to let them go, saying that Rex can miss a war semester from college. 8 months after Gwen moved to Providence, Grand Court, the heir of Sir Hugo moves to Tiflo Hall. Everyone at Providence hopes that Grandcourt will fall for Gwendolyn and thinks that he will be a perfect match for her, mostly because of his financial status. When Gwendolyn goes to Brackhead's house for an urgent meeting, she is noticed by Grandcourt, and they decide to meet later at the ball. And at the ball, Grandcourt dances with Catherine and Gwendolyn dances with Klezmer. Gwendolyn is invited to dance by Kurt, and they start flirting. Then Kurt expresses his desire to marry with Gwendolyn, but Lucy disagrees. It seemed that there was a possibility of Grandcourt not inheriting his uncle's money, so it was a safer option to marry Catherine, a girl with a large fortune, instead of marrying Gwendolyn, who was financially unstable. Gwendolyn is uncertain on whether to accept marrying Gwendolyn, who was financially unstable. Gwendolyn uncertain on whether to accept God's immediate marriage proposal or not, but she is convinced by her uncle to accept it, even if that means abandoning everything she believed in regarding marriage. The next day, another uncertain event takes place, and Gwendolyn is sure that Grandcourt will propose to her. Before she has the chance, Gwendolyn responds a letter asking her to meet a stranger at the Whispering Stones to talk about Grandcourt. Gwendolyn goes there and she meets with Lydia, Grandcourt's mistress, with whom he has 4 children. Gwendolyn promises that she will not accept Grandcourt's proposal and leaves. Gwendolyn tells her mother that she was going to refuse Grandcourt's proposal and that she plans to leave and join some of her friends in Dover. The plot then shifts to Daniel, Deronda, and Mr. Hugo. Grandcourt and Luz also go to Lebron, where they meet with Daniel and Mr. Hugo. They talk about Gwendolyn, and Lucy lets it slip that Gwendolyn wants to marry her. Daniel, however, is not interested in marrying her, at all and says that he would sooner run away from her. We find a few things about Daniel Deronda. He has been arrested by Sir Hugo, and so that day. Daniel still has one who his true parents were. At one point, she even believed that he was Sir Hugo's illegitimate son. Daniel is complete of foresight. He is kind and wants to help those around him, even if that meant he was going to be at the disadvantage. For example, he helped a young girl named Mira. Daniel meets Mira one day when he was walking alone to River Thames. He realized that she is upset and that she plans to drown herself. So he convinces her not to do it and then takes her to some of his friends to take care of her. Mira is a young Jewish girl who used to travel with her father and work as a singer since she was young. Her father had a gambling problem, and because he accumulated a large debt, he planned to sell Mira to a rover Nafleman as a mistress. When Mira found about his plan, she ran away and searched for her family, but was unable to find them. It was then when she tried to kill herself, but was stopped by Daniel. Meanwhile, Gwendolyn returns to her family and finds them ruined. She tries to find work as a governess, but then asks Klezmer for help, hoping that she will be able to make it as a singer. Klezmer tells her that his chances of becoming a singer or actress are slim, so she decides to accept Charcot's marriage proposal despite her adversity towards marriage in general. Gwendolyn is unhappy in her marriage and constantly thinks about Lydia and her children. She starts to become rude towards Grodgour, and Lucy tells her details about Grodgour's will and how she will receive little financial support if Grodgour dies. Grodgour blackmails Gwendolyn into going on a cruise with him on the Mediterranean Sea, and she is left with no other choice than to accept. During this time, Daniel becomes intrigued by Judeans and the Jewish community. He meets Mordecai in Frankfurt, and after a brief conversation with him, Daniel realizes that Mordecai is Mira's brother. Daniel routines them, and shortly after, Sir Hugo tells Daniel that his birth mother wants to meet him. Daniel meets with his mother in Ghana, and he finds that his mother is dying. His mother reveals to him that he is Jewish and that he was raised by Sir Hugo because she was a singer, and Sir Hugo fell in love with her. Thinking that he will be able to provide a better life for him, she asks Sir Hugo to raise Daniel, and he accepted. When Daniel returns to London, he finds that Grodgour drowned while he was off sailing, so he tries to comfort Gwendolyn. He reveals to everyone his Jewish origin, and then he proposes to Mira. She accepts to marry him, and together they decide to try and carry on Mordecai's dream of creating a Jewish nation.